And opening up now, it's going to be what seems like, as no one's surprise here, the Ryan 3-3 goes out of everybody as we head into Control Center, the first round of Legion.
Insert Pikachu surprise me here. Talon, though, good positioning on the low ground, sets him on the point, but GrandXur with the high ground charge now to find TYG. Nice one there. That's a good start in the fight. Talon haven't really had any answer, and they actually just start to back off. So GrandXur pressing that advantage, dropping Villeneuve, dropping Persia. That's going to give GrandXur a decent numbers advantage and a good bit of ult charge, actually.
Rewarded for a very risky play by Papillon, by the way. There's definitely a world where he gets punished. He didn't get punished. He probably should have gone down. He charged so far out of position from the protection of his own team that likely Talon Esports should have traded 1-for-1, but because they didn't, GrandXur clean up the rest of Talon Esports and now get a bit of a chokehold.
This is where they can set themselves up very nicely. Only just getting the Surge Scatter now, though, and Papillon has to wait to heal up before he can use it. Does throw a bit of a wrench into the works of setting up this really aggressive defense.
Can't wait too long because Ultimate's coming online for Talon Esports as well.
GrandXur did it to give a lot of space, but now they're looking at Ooh, whipping the bash shatter combo. Heimish Nellis with the shatter. Now looking to get aggressive as Talon. Now they're connecting very handily. Heimish does back up. Hamzy not so lucky, and Papillon was already long gone. With that, GrandXur going to lose their hold on the point.
Talon Esports stay calm and carry on. They just waited for Papillon to miss that one through, playing into the choke. There was no shield bash that really connected onto Villeneuve. And Villeneuve just holds the shield up, just waits. Very patient coming through. Sees the shadow has whiffed. Talon Esports push on through. Persia use the Transcendence just as a precaution anyway. Let's Talon push through regardless. And now, in the driver's seat, they themselves are holding the choke.
Oh, double charge. Never get tired of seeing that one. It's Villeneuve that ends up the worst wear in that one. Throwing out the self-destruct now.
Oh,
do find Marlon. It's a pretty decent one there.
Shut down
to the sound barrier, which means Haru's one gives them a bit of a health and, well, not numbers advantage, but it's even numbers.
And now it's going to come down to Hamzy. He's going to land a pretty good Graviton Surge here as they re-approach.
Ooh, Papillon.
Oh, nope, that's Eden.
Yep, that's very tough, and great timing on the Transcendence as well to allow Talon to force the issue there, which means they actually get the consecutive fight wins to hold on to the point.
And by the way, that's now 2 ultimates shut down, and Marlon will be, I guess, reasonably lucky to get out of this alive. Does receive a projected barrier to do so, but Marlon got the sound barrier shut down, couldn't complete that ultimate. Hamzy threw the Graviton Surge out. They got that eaten away as well, so 2 ultimates out of 2 so far for GrandXur in very recent times. Have just gotten absolutely nothing.
It's in a real interesting spot here, though, GrandXur. They're coming up on some decent tools, but Talon have done a decent job of rotating from the self-destruct forward.
It's too far away.
Grab. Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward placement on that combo, and Heimish gets picked off in it. Talon's still off to a decent start here.
It's just very quickly getting out of the hand, though. GrandXur had control very early on. That's the 42% represented there. But now it's just all Talon Esports. They got the rally into there. Persia's coming back online for Transcendence. It's coming back to Papillon versus Villeneuve in the Shatter combo. TYG looking for the combo.
And there it is. They tried to get the Bash Shatter in, but a nice reaction out of the stun there from Heimish. And now Talon actually having to back up, give respect to GrandXur.
And now they should be looking to GrandXur, that is, do the same thing. Heimish has no life, though.
Oh, man. Villeneuve just going forward aggressively with the hammer to find that. And Papillon's Earth Shatter did not get the connection required. Talon, they just look far better of the 2 at that point. GrandXur unable to really get that ultimate back going.
And that's the thing, GrandXur actually had a fantastic start. Again, Papillon got the charge to TYG, went unpunished, didn't go down, then cleaned up Villeneuve. They got themselves 42%. But Talon Esports just played patient. They didn't lose their cool, they didn't lose their chill. They just came back in, found the right opportunities, blocked out a shadow, cancelled out 2 more ultimates in quick succession. And then even despite failing to land their own Bash Shatter combo, they just played calm. They backed out slowly, waited for another opportunity, knew that GrandXur wanted to play the Shatter as well, pressured Hamzy out, or rather Heimish out, who was on the Brigida, knowing that if you pressure the Brigida out, they can't actually do the combo properly. They entirely mess up the combo on the GrandXur side because Heimish goes down, Papillon then misses the Shatter as well, and then Talon Esports, the rest is history. Again, calm, collected play.
What I was trying to say at the end there was GrandXur. They seemed like they weren't able to get the ultimate economy back up and running. This is a bit of a different kettle of fish, though, playing asymmetrically. We've got Goats. Ryan Goats, once again, versus a Super McCree on the side of GrandXur. This should be able to unlock Hamzy a bit more.
Yeah, it should, because especially right now, it's a front-to-back sort of fight where Talon Esports have to break through Papillon and Silvercoin in this sort of positioning and this sort of choke, whereas Hamzy can relatively be at the back in safety. You can actually see, again, Talon Esports just waiting for the point to unlock before they actually approach.
Now the GrandXur are set up on the point. Talon make their move. Very quick connection onto Hamish. And this is GrandXur just getting routed despite the early positioning. Look, Talon are just being far more proactive about taking fights in favorable positions.
And the timing's so important as well. The reason they wait for the point to unlock is if they just sit there and try and take a fight early, they're just eating poke for free. Poke is obviously worse. They know GrandXur with the super degree can just out-damage their shield, so no reason to hold your shield there, no reason to try and take extra damage. Wait till you need to fight and then they go and fight.
GrandXur seemed kind of surprised too. Like they weren't expecting Talon to just walk up like that.
What the hell?
And now GrandXur themselves just walking up. Talon are expecting it. Already poked out as they made the rotation, and now getting absolutely filled down. Now that they commit, Silk has to take a dive off the back end there, and only one counter trade.
And this is it. You look at Talon Esports, there's just such great counter punches. I want to say they're a fantastic defensive team. If this was boxing, they're just waiting for GrandXur to overstep, and as soon as GrandXur try and throw that punch up, the Talon Esports have that counter punch ready to go, and they're just waiting for mistakes to come through, and GrandXur are presenting those mistakes time and time again.
Now Talon really have that punch economy up and running. They've got the 1-2 combo ready to go. And around just, you know, I don't know, bulk up. What's the thing that boxers do? Psych themselves up, I guess. Getting aggressive in. Now double. It's good boop off the edge onto Persia. And Kit takes that one off the table. Are you kidding me? And immediately Talon just clean up the rest here. No contest, despite that one excellent catch. It was matched, and Talon do better.
Yeah, and Haru's like, here, hold my beer, I'll do I'll do that same thing right back to your own Zenyatta. But even if that wasn't the case, I value the trade that Talon got much better. Getting Papillon down versus losing Persia, I actually much prefer to take down the Reinhardt versus the Zenyatta in that case, because it gives Villeneuve such a strong advantage, and the 2000 HP shield, you can't deny how much impact that has.
And look at that, so aggressive to go forward to ensure that the Earth Shatter can connect. The self-destruct is so great laid on top of it. This grab is just too little too late. Hamzy can scarcely follow up. They've actually got 2 out of it though, so Talon, they're not out of the woods just yet. Gagora not back in the mech in spite of all of this, and that's really what's here. So actually GrandXur look like they will be able to flip this one back around thanks to the 2 kills they got there.
Yeah, but it's still a 0 to 99% deficit, so a long road ahead of them, a long night certainly. And for GrandXur, they need to start getting these ultimates back into rotation, nearly onto the Earth Shatter, but unfortunately, look, Papillon just hasn't really landed these. It's probably 50-50. Hamish is kind of in that mix as well. You need to get these combos together. And so far, this duo between Hamish and Papillon, they haven't been able to connect, and they need to if they actually want to win these fights.
Both teams, though, essentially naked for ultimates, and Talon already off to a killer start to take a Papillon out of the mix. Rally out from TYG as well helps keep Gagora in the fight for those few extra seconds so he can be healed up. Earth Shatter, not the greatest. They're keeping the pressure on GrandXur, but now the grab out of Hamzy.
Countered.
Is what they really need to rely on. But like you said, countered by Persia's Transcendence, and now their own grab, they immediately start catching kills.
Blocked.
Not enough. This is starting to look very tough for GrandXur, losing a few too many members, in fact, far too many members, getting forced off the point. The cap are going to come through, and at 99%, you've got to feel Talon have this.
They certainly do, and for GrandXur, even if, look, they needed a Hugo alive there, have a Transcendence. Papillon again just couldn't land that shot of Villeneuve, staring him down, has the shield up, and once again, Talon Esports, they are just simply the most chill team in all of Pacific right now. They just wait you out. They're very patient. The discipline is extremely there. And now
I got nowhere to be.
I mean, they got somewhere to be, but they're not in a hurry.
The place they're gonna be is number 1.
They know they're gonna get there. So it's just like, we're gonna get there eventually. I don't need to speed here.
Like they don't need the ticket. Their horn in traffic. They're like, that's fine.
We got time. They got time to play. And I want to make the sort of comparison here because while the opportunity is still fresh, I mean, we just did see Xavier. They're now both fighting for number 1. Talon Esports do, of course, pick up Lijiang Tower. There's a big difference in play style. Xavier are the kind of team that want to rush you down, that want to be super aggressive. If they're in the ring, they're just wailing on you. They're just trying to throw as many hits as they can, as fast as they can. And Talon Esports, the complete opposite that we've seen so far, they want to take these punches, wait for you to misstep, and then get one right into the best possible counter hit that they can find. And if you misstep there, and this is why that opening kill from Papillon onto TYG was probably one of the few times the Talon Esports didn't get that counter punch, they didn't get that punish, they saw the mistake come through, way too aggressive from Papillon. Papillon probably should have gone down there, then it would have been, you know, a completely even fight, and you do value, again, Villeneuve staying alive while losing his Brigida, but the opposite team, they have a Brigida, but they lost to Ryan. Talon actually win that trade. That would have been very winnable for them, but that was probably one of the few times that you see Talon Esports unable to punish, so they did lose that fight. But in basically every other position, in every other scenario, they got the counter punch and they got the correct punish and they waited for you to overstep and then they just completely knocked you down.
I don't know enough about boxing to really respond to
well,
that.
That's about as much as I know. I just watched Creed 2, so this is as
punch.
much as I can do.
Right, I see. And Sylvester Stallone, he knows his boxing.
He does.
Yeah, he's played many boxing.
Rocky Balboa's in the Boxing Hall of Fame, I believe. As a fictional character.
Fictional Boxing Hall of Fame.
No, the real Boxing Hall of Fame as a fictional character.
That's a little bit pathetic, actually. Like, you'd think that the people who should
take it up with the committee. I don't know.
Boxing Hall of Fame should maybe be actual boxers.
I mean, the rest of them are.
Yeah.
Just so we know.
But then he's just there to completely discredit the accreditation. I don't buy it.
I don't know all care enough about that to really go on.
This would be like the dude who played that guy in The Blind Side getting an award for being an excellent footballer. He's not.
I don't know why this bothers you.
I care.
Don't lose too much sleep tonight, by the way.
Of the sport.
I hope you sleep well, by the way.
I sleep terribly every single night, up awake at night,
about the mundane
sham awards.
About all the mundane things that don't affect you at all.
Exactly. It'd be like giving me an Oscar. Get off it. Come on.
I also hope you don't get an Oscar, but that's just personal. So the point I'm trying to make here is I'm quite excited to see the sort of differences between playstyles of what the two biggest contenders in this group is so far, between Talon Esports as returning champions and Xavier as these extremely strong up-and-comers. That's just quite an interesting comparison I'd like to sort of point out in terms of pure playstyle between these two teams. But right now, you can see GrandXur every time, other than that opening fight where they did want to overstep, where they did try and force the issue a little bit too much, and all it takes is for Talon Esports to slow things down, just to cool it down and say, okay, where are you not meant to be right now? Which member can we catch out? Sometimes it's Heimish, sometimes it's Papillon, but as soon as they get that, they win the fights. And going now onto Numbani will be our next match. GrandXur, can they maybe start to bring it around, slow down the game themselves a bit?
Here we go. Here's one for you. The Xavier Talon matchup that we'll get in week 5 is a heavyweight bout. It's all my boxing knowledge in one short sentence. Squared circle.
I mean, every time we get a top of the table clash, you're not wrong.
Yeah. I know, off the ropes.
I don't know where to go from there except to say you're absolutely correct.
Got him on the ropes.
Very
That's a
correct.
boxing thing that I know.
It is.
Yeah. The only other thing I
use that later when one team is losing.
The only other thing I really have beyond that is like some really muscular dude in a robe, and then like some like hearty New Yorker giving him a massage. Like, all right, you go in there, you give them the fight of your life. That's all I got. Right? You just do what we practiced, and you'll be fine. Like, who is that guy? Like, who is this coach that has spent their entire life just dragging on cigars that they sound like that? Like, yeah, I used to be one of the greatest. Then I took an arrow to the knee. I don't know how boxing works.
I'll tell you what, that last bit, that's definitely not how it works.
You sure? I guess you saw Creed, so you'd know.
I know.
It's a shame, no arrows in Creed.
There
A lot of arrows
bows.
in Robin Hood. That was a terrible movie, but there were a lot of arrows in it. Good number of arrows on Numbani too, I suppose. See 2 on the Lucio HUD right there.
I suppose. I was going to say there's no Hanzos being played, so you don't have that going on. What you do have is TYG, though, on the Sombra. All this defense is a solo DPS, and the rest of them, there's still going to be a bit of an aggressive half dive here. Oh, that's
yikes. Catching the supports in the rotation means the rest of them are just up a tree without a ladder. And
no healing, by the way.
They're just going to take a dive here. Look at them all running for it. Something Lemmings.
I will correct myself. Technically, Heimish is playing the Brigida, so they can heal, but it's obviously not the same caliber of healing. For Talon Esports, in fact, for GrandXur, they're a disciplined move to just reset completely. They know there's no way they can regroup with their supports properly unless they reset. Also, by suiciding off the side, they don't give away additional ult charge, which is very good.
Now, Talon about 50% of the way to the EMP. That's the saving grace from GrandXur. Like you said, not giving the ult charge means they don't have to play into that. Instead, they just play into the old shield bash, lay some damage in.
Shield bash,
with that one.
Get themselves a Discord orb into Papillon as well. It's going to really sort of affect this approach. GrandXur want to dive, and so do Talon.
Both just kind of waiting for the ideal opportunity, but that's Papillon ending up on the ground there. Gogora forced back out of the mech as well. Good open for GrandXur. Now they need to leverage it further. Villeneuve goes in with a primal rage. TYG takes a lot of pain trying to get that EMP ready to go.
It's ready now. He's going to go and use it straight away. Nice response from Hugo.
TYG has not been able to commit that one. Hamzy preempted with the grab, stopped any potential follow-up. Now TYG comes back in, and Gogora's actually back in the mech here. Nicely timed sound barrier from Marlon kept GrandXur largely safe, but that's kind of all they had to go off. Neither team has come out the better of this just yet. Finally popping a weak GrandXur again at a slight numbers advantage.
Papillon's going to use the primal here. Silvercoin's still got an ultimate, so does Gogora. Might be the difference here as well. Felt to see the second tick come through.
Yeah, that became the bigger numbers advantage once they popped Villeneuve. And thanks to Papillon's primal rage, they had plenty of health there. Talon made the smart call by just backing off that, but they did actually make it take quite a lot of time for GrandXur.
Yeah, it was a decent amount of attempts there from GrandXur, I should probably say, and a decent amount of ults expended as well. Both Papillon and Villeneuve managed to get a primal rage in there, so the swap onto Reinhardt's a little bit more free than it would have been previously. Hamzy does have a fairly sizable advantage over the top of a week in terms of Graviton Surge, and exercising that advantage is probably how GrandXur want to win this next fight.
Excellent catch on the Papillon, and suddenly GrandXur find themselves in a slightly tighter spot than a few moments ago. Talon have actually forced GrandXur quite a ways back.
Yeah, and Heimish is still low. Hugo had to go off the edge there, and now GrandXur, they just lose, I want to say a lot of time, but mostly positioning. A positioning to get a good grab in there. Talon Esports now controlling spawns and just building up these ultimates that they're surely lacking.
And it's because they know that Hamzy was on the far side of that. Now that they know Hamzy will have rejoined, Talon start backing up. They give GrandXur some space and respect. Talon got what they wanted. Time on the clock, had a bit more charge in the bank. Now the fight breaks out thanks to GrandXur committing that ultimate. Finding Villeneuve with that is a pretty solid opening. They do still have other ultimates to burn here if necessary, but it's not looking like it'll be necessary, and they charge up an Earth Shatter to boot.
The problem here for Talon is they still need a week's Graviton Surge. He's taken a while to get that one up. You did smartly see Talon didn't want to take a fight too early there as Hamzy walked up for the grab, because they were waiting for Persia to have a Transcendence. He was sitting on about 98, 99%, and as soon as he did, then they wanted to take the fight, use Transcendence anyway, but because Villeneuve went down so early, they didn't have a way to come back properly. This fight, however, though, might go a bit better.
Talon have an opportunity here, but GrandXur have one too. The Earth Shatter does not get anything from Papillon, and now Villeneuve has one of his own. Can he connect this one? Looking for that bash shatter. Gets the shatter. There we go. Didn't find Papillon, but it didn't matter. Now just looking to get the rest of these members somehow. They lost the wing. That throws a spanner in the works here. The game plan for Talon, now GrandXur. They're the ones actually rallying back into this. They're the ones still with the numbers advantage. That ultimate did not save Villeneuve. It's looking dicey, but it does appear that GrandXur will come out better of it.
And this is it, the final opportunity for Talon to try and hold on to B. Losing a week was definitely the hardest thing there. They still lose Persia reasonably late. They play the Transcendence in there, just maybe giving a week a bit of time to come in, but Talon Esports, because he didn't save Villeneuve, because he didn't save enough members, Talon Esports weren't able to defend. Now that they do finally have the grab, this is the opportunity to get something done.
Has to be able to commit the grab though. It's the, I mean, it can't be easier said than done. Excuse me, let's be honest.
100 energy from Hamzy as well, so they got to deal with all that damage output. Looking for the angle here. You can see Villeneuve just trying to find a shatter.
So aggressive, and they toss the grab out, self-destruct, lay it in, finds Papillon. Nicely done. They chunked in so that the shield would be down for that one, and that means GrandXur have to pull back to lick their wounds.
And now Hugo using the Transcendence there as well. And obviously you want to counter out the Graviton Surge, but this could still be a kill. They're actually chasing all the way to the spawn doors. And what I want to say is for Talon Esports, because they layer the self-destruct so nicely there, the Transcendence doesn't matter. The self-destruct damage is far too large. And now Talon Esports have finally slowed things down, forced the full reset out of GrandXur. getting a few more ultimates in there. It's Villeneuve versus Papillon again in terms of the shatters, and so far across 2 maps, Villeneuve's been coming out ahead. Papillon's yet to really land one big shatter.
There's the rally out. Villeneuve looking for the next one.
That's a bit better.
Yeah, much better out of Papillon. Villeneuve still got his though, and GrandXur didn't get much follow-up from Papillon's shatter.
Still waiting for Villeneuve. It was 2 members landed on, but Villeneuve just kind of walks up there. Persia countered with the Transcendence as well, so no way there's enough damage, but here we goes the self-destruct.
Self-destruct forward to kind of force the issue, makes Talon have to back up, give some space, gets the cart back moving for GrandXur, but they've still got to actually win a subsequent fight here. TYG being low, but Villeneuve still coming up on an Earth Shatter, and a Week still coming up on a grab.
TYG needs to be healthy if he wants to get the Shield Bash combo in there. Still waiting for Villeneuve though.
Ceded a lot of ground here, but finally there's the Earth Shatter. Nice charge on Papillon, keeping him off to the side of the Transcendence so that he does go down to the charge. And off the back of this, Talon looking to just force GrandXur back. They lose TYG, but they punish Heimish for the overstep. And again, GrandXur forced all the way back to spawn.
They did trade a bit of space to make that happen. You could tell that Talon Esports were just waiting for the right moment there, taking a bit too much damage. TYG, again, was super low. They were waiting for the combo. Villeneuve trying to find the angle. Eventually, they do land something. Gets it on Papillon, cleans up the kill, very important. If Papillon survives there, GrandXur keep fighting, but because he dies, they make the reset happen.
A Week has a grab, but Hamzy actually has one to match. The real
the grab eaten.
Oh, that's not good from Hamzy. A Week gets a good connection though. Self-destruct forward. No one's there to even die to it. They've already died in the grab. Silvercoin takes a dive. Hugo, the last casualty there, and Marlon just turned tail and ran.
Gora, by the way, is super consistent with these. We've already seen one on Lee Jung-Tao where he ate a crucial grab out of Hamzy. This time around, again, on Numbani on what was a very important push from GrandXur, possibly with advantage as well. Going back to last week, remember how many grabs he got away from Lynx TH. It's just so consistent week after week.
That's the thing you got to say. Funnily enough, the Season 2 champions are quite good at this game. A Week, look at that charge already coming up. Villeneuve and Papillon matched 4 shatters, but once again, it's been Villeneuve getting much better shatters. Speaking of which, there it is. And they pick up Heimish with it, even if Papillon gets up and throws one back out, which he's going to kind of have to. I don't know that they have time to actually pull back and fight again.
Yeah, they don't lose any more, but they also don't have any chance to get back in. Look how close Talon are actually holding here. GrandXur go on top. This is quite smart because this is the only way they can get to the card on time.
It's so huge, the stagger on Silver Coin. Papillon's going to have to throw out a huge shatter, charges forward just to touch the payload. Now the shatter completely stopped up. Beautiful timing from TYG. And with that, GrandXur have less than nothing left in the tank. Hamzy will be able to chuck out a grab here to counter out, but that's if any members are left alive to follow up on it. Short answer, none. Talon, they're going to hold tight here on C. It's just a matter of time for GrandXur.
Even Villeneuve getting super low, but is he going to go down? He was saved by the sound barrier just previously.
Then just healed straight back up. The self-destruct from Gagor doesn't find anything, unfortunately, but again, the damage is all there, and wow, the overtime had gone on so long. Look at how close they are to the payload, but just the split second being offered is enough to end that overtime.
You can see there, like every single time Papillon wants to go for a shatter, something doesn't happen. Even if he lands on a couple of members, the Transcendence is there, Villeneuve's still ready to block as well. Here comes that TYG approach where, because he sees Hugo uses Transcendence right away, he actually just doesn't use the EMP. I guess smartly, so they did end up losing this fight anyway, but I mean, there is a world where, I don't know, it could have probably gone either way. Going back to that last fight, you do want to say part of the issue there for Papillon isn't just that, okay, it's quite hard for him, it's difficult because of the way that Talon are playing. You have TYG in your face looking for a shield bash as soon as you go for it. His timing is impeccable. You have Villeneuve, who is so good at having a shield up at the right moment to do that. And then just everything else from Talon Esports. We have it in, you know, there's the counters from Persia as well. Haru's sound barriers. Everything makes Papillon's job so hard.
Talon just, again, we got to go back to what we said after Lee Jung-Tao. They do just look cool, calm, collected. They're willing to play patient. They're willing to cede ground to wait for better opportunities to engage because they're confident that they will be able to convert off them.
And it's the kind of mentality where you don't have to get the perfect 100 to 0. You don't have to get the perfect 0 ticks onto a full hold. They know they can win this. They know they're the better team. They're willing to wait out. They're just looking for the eventual victory. They're looking for the inevitable victory. Not the one that looks the flashiest, but the one that counts.
Now on the attack, going to be popping a Super McCree. GrandXur running a Winston Goat, so It will be nice to see a week a little bit unleashed as a DPS here.
And by the way, in this composition, really to me, this is such great position by GrandXur, but they're still taking a lot of damage.
That's the thing, a quick flashbang from the week made it a little bit more difficult, but GrandXur still able to weather that storm, and now they deal the damage back double. It's going to be Talon routed.
I was going to say, Talon Esports' game plan here is to actually set up the McCree player weak on the high ground and then play for the poke damage. They know their poke damage is superior with the weak onto the McCree. But GrandXur, they kind of sensed that one out. They sort of imagined or felt where Talon Esports were going to push from and just met them on the high ground, got that opening kill, got the opening damage, and they win that opening fight.
Now Talon, we need to find another way into this one. GrandXur can just keep doing the same thing over and over. Yo this time is going to be the opening casualty. And this is where it gets dangerous for Talon, even if they get out of this without losing any more members, which may just well happen yet. GrandXur have so many ultimates up now.
And that's the problem. Talon Esports at this stage actually need to make some trades happen. They've been losing these fights without getting some counter trades, and counter trades would actually really help them to reapproach. They may be thinking about changing here, losing the Deadeye even. This is what I'm talking about. It does hurt, but it's the correct move to make. And we've seen so many teams just tonight being punished for holding onto ultimates and playing the wrong compositions. Now going to the Zarya does allow them to push onto the high ground a lot more effectively.
Now Heimish, waiting on that rally. Talon this time are off to a better start, but GrandXur, they've still got ultimates they can dig into here. They forced that ultimate out of Yo, that's really big.
Died so fast.
Yeah, exactly, and GrandXur, because Yo was already long gone, just one excellently placed grab. I mean, GrandXur are in such a good spot now.
And this is it's just so difficult for Talon to play into because, again, they're behind in ultimates, at least now because Hamzy did use the Graviton Surge. A week because his own charge is a little bit more competitive, but there's just so many fights in a row that GrandXur has been winning. Yo, again, they're going to play for the longer game now. Even if this goes into overtime, if they can get an Earth Shatter, they're going to probably win that fight because Pantheon is not going to block as a Winston.
That's the thing, they are now waiting for that later game situation. Yo going down to the opening aggression there. And Talon are still burning ultimates to do this. This time at least GrandXur had to commit a decent number more than what they did last time, where it was only the grab, but it's still not a favorable position for Talon. They're playing the long game, but they've got less than a minute and a half left.
By the way, Talon Esports haven't been fully wiped in any of these fight losses so far. They've lost a couple members, reset just a little bit, gave away a bit of time, but they're also forcing ults, and you actually notice now the ultimate charges are pretty even across the board, except for Hamzy, who is now getting quite a decent bit of lead. And GrandXur now kind of caught behind the 8 ball. Talon Esports have managed to rotate but get caught in the grab.
Oh, nice though. I mean, it just draws the shield up. They have to pop the Transcendence on Persia just to make sure nobody dies underneath it. But they've kind of survived that one. Now it's Hugo's turn to be forced to pop Transcendence. Grab comes out onto these GrandXur members. A week committing that one. Hamzy, he had one. Actually, maybe hasn't been able to have one up just yet, so never mind that. But that being said, Yo does go down, and Talon again, they're just getting turned around upon. Despite these fights, generally speaking, executing well, they're still not actually getting the kills.
But now this is the penultimate fight we've been waiting for. Talon Esports have been banking it for a long time. Like I've mentioned previously, they're not going for the glorious win, they just want a win. So going into the overtime fight, the Earthshatter advantage against Pantheon, who's playing a Winston, very difficult to block out. This is now the primary win condition. Talon Esports, this has to be the fight because it's the one they've been waiting for.
The only potential issue is the fact that they aren't quite at those defensive ultimates just yet, and they ideally do want them up. Persia, if he dies before Transcendence is available, could leave Talon in some very, very hot water.
So now the problem here is GrandXur want to play the high ground, so you can't Earth Shadow effectively because there's not good targets on the ground right now. You want to force GrandXur on the ground?
Oh, it only got Heimish. That's very optimal. They do kill Heimish. Now that Transcendence out from Persia gives GrandXur a lot of legs in the fight. Speaking of which, Malik gets popped. Self-destruct from Silver Coin is not the massive rescue that GrandXur need. They only find Gagora's mech, and the rest of GrandXur are getting very solidly bodied on this point. Now, Talon, like you said, they played extremely patient. They couldn't have done it any later than that, just with the way the math works out, but it does work out.
And by the way, they made the right choices at the right times to turn into composition. They knew, okay, this is not going to be a quick cap. If we got to cap at all, this is how it has to happen. It's going to be in the overtime. It's going to be with the Earthshatter. And because we're finally capping into overtime, GrandXur are going to be forced to address this onto the ground. Finally lands Earthshatter, finally has a player advantage. The first time so far on this offense that Talon Esports actually have that advantage, and now they finally get to push on to B. This is still very difficult though, but they can snowball with the grab.
That's the thing, they do actually retain a slight advantage thanks to where the old economy sits. They need to leverage it. Good catch onto Heimish. Hugo a tad too late on the Transcendence, and now Talon, ooh, loss of a week there to the environmental. A little bit rough. Villeneuve really has to connect with this. Does not. Marlon finds another. Talon, they're just going to have to lose some time here, and that also loses them that ultimate advantage they have. GrandXur now have a much better position than a few seconds ago.
And this is definitely a very poor place for Talon Esports to be, because they had very low amount of time to work with in the first place, 2 minutes 30 going into B. They can't afford to be stopped up too often. In fact, they can't really be affording to stop up at all. The card is in a very poor position for them as well. Graviton Surge now on both sides. Like you said, the advantage is gone.
Gagora's going to have to find another catch on that. Nice Earth Shatter finishes off TYG. Transcendence not enough to save them. A week goes forward. Gagora as well with that combo. They find Papillon, but now Hamzy and Silvercoin can just do the same in kind unless Talon get a couple more kills very quick. And throw that one very sky high, comes down, finds Haru, and Villeneuve had already died on the ground as well. So GrandXur, once again, getting the better of the fight. Talon once again in a worse position than before.
They certainly are, and Talon Esports actually have a respawn advantage here, and now you're sort of looking at this team and thinking, what more can they do? Because it's kind of going toe-to-toe in some certain fashion with the ults, but they're not getting enough kills, while despite having a bit of a respawn distance advantage. Note that GrandXur have to respawn so far away to reinforce into this fight. Talon Esports should be able to just play the numbers advantage.
Just waiting. This is a tough spot. It's actually arguably a tough spot for GrandXur as well.
Oh, yep, that's good.
Finds a huge Earth Shatter. They've got the follow-up as well. And again, it couldn't really be coming any later here, you've got to say, but Talon do at long last find the fight they need. It ain't pretty, but it works. They are still very tight for time, but this is still achievable.
And this is going to go into overtime again. The good news for Talon Esports is after that, they don't need to complete the map. Completing the map will probably be too much of an ask at this rate, but just getting to the finish line, which is still a reasonable distance away, but it's a lot more doable than what they previously had. Double grab going to come up for both sides now. It's going to be very important for both sides.
GrandXur realize that they're not actually going to get there in time for a contest. They back up before they overextend. Nicely read. Talon being able to get that cap now, a minute and a half just under to play with.
And GrandXur playing for the C defense is very important, because if they actually go for the B defense and they lose, that Gambit potentially loses them the whole map, because then Talon Esports can just snowball through. But right now, this could be the last fight if GrandXur are not careful.
They may just snowball through anyway. There's the grab, the self-destruct, and so many times we see this. By the time it goes off, no one is left alive to even die to it. That is a very quick stick spike from Talon. GrandXur will get a full rack of respawns, but it'll be their last one.
And to be honest, this was more 50-50 than you'd probably think. Hamzy just didn't quite pull the trigger in time. It's going to be a bit of a spawn camp now.
Silvercoin, oh, barely getting the self-destruct off in time to preserve the mech.
Oh,
it's never not counter up with the grab. Oh, what a catch from Gagora. And I mean, they couldn't even throw out the grab self-destruct combo anyway. It was already disjointed, but Gagora makes it sting just that much more. And Talon, it doesn't matter that it wasn't pretty. It doesn't matter that it took so long. They got all those fights at the last possible opportunity. They still got them, and that's what counts.
What a methodical team. Their wins, quite frankly, are not impressive. They're not attractive. I'm not going to go there. But the thing here that is so good and so consistent out of Talon Esports is it doesn't matter. They're just looking for a win. It's the team that I described so well by saying unceremonious. It's just, there's nothing to celebrate there. I mean, obviously you celebrate a win, but it's not flashy at all. There's no huge 6Ks. There's nothing like, you know, the other team didn't even...
pan highlight
There's
reels.
no massive... I mean, Gagora eating grab after grab is very impressive, but that's all part of the machine. It's just another cog in the machine that keeps Talon moving on this war machine that just slowly goes through.
Check.
It's like that Zamboni, that very slow Zamboni, and it's coming at you. But for some reason, you don't get out of the way. Maybe it's just too narrow. But it's Talon of this very slow-moving machine that will eventually get you.
I've never been run over by a Zamboni. I can't.
It's that you know, Austin Powers thing. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I guess that did happen in the movie, but as we recently established with Creed, movies are not real life.
Oh, they're not?
No, yeah, I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Blew my, except for the ones that are, like biopics and documentaries, but even then, biopics are like dramatizations. It didn't really happen.
That's really crazy.
Way. Yeah.
I have to reassess my life
Harry
now.
Potter is real.
Yeah.
Hogwarts is a real place.
All my friends around, you know, when I was in very young kid. They told me it was real.
Yeah,
so
well, I mean,
they wouldn't lie to me. So
on Facebook now, who list their place of education as Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, they wouldn't. I mean,
have you tried running?
You couldn't say that if you hadn't been there.
Have you tried running through the brick pillar in whatever train station it is? Because
it's King's Cross.
How do you know it's not real? See.
Apparently there was actually a real problem. They had to like, I can't remember exactly what they had to do, whether it was like security guards or cones or something, because like diehard fans would go to that spot on King's Cross Station and run into the brick wall. Harry Potter fans are absolutely nuts. Like, do not underestimate how genuinely insane diehard Harry Potter fans can be.
But back to the topic at hand, the point I'm trying to make here is there is a feeling of inevitability about this Talon Esports lineup.
That's because Talon are Slytherins.
And honestly, this is you've now reached the extent of my Harry Potter knowledge. Look, I watched all the movies. I didn't read any of the books. I watched all the movies, and I'm glad I never have to watch any of that again. I will never watch Fantastic Beasts. And the thing is, again, oh no, I can't say it because we're going to go to a break.
You watched a lot of Fantastic Beasts because we've seen a lot of goats.
I guess. It's not too fantastic, though. We are going to go for a bit of a break as we do now reach the half-point mark in Talon Esports, so to take control here 2-0 as we head into the second half, which will happen right after this break.